Cek, cek. Ah, ada suaranya. Oke. Halo, namun balik lagi sama gua. Kita bakal mainin Planet Zoo. Tadinya gua mau main Roblox, tapi kok nggak bisa. Gua nggak ngerti kenapa gitu kan. Sebelum itu, mari kita lihat chat dulu. Halo Bang, halo Gani. Halo Ilham, tas aing rugi. Aing rugi 400 DM diamond mungkin tas aing. Halo Bang Denis. 2 minggu aing kumpulin malah rugi. Ada. Kasihan ya. Kalau dipikir-pikir kasihan gitu loh. Kenapa begitu? Kenapa? Oke, wait. Tadinya tuh gue pengen pakai thumbnail Dennis saja ya, daripada gue bingung-bingung ya kan. Tapi sebelum itu ya kan. Waduh, Planet Zoo-nya nggak bisa keluar, cuk. Kenapa nih? Ngomongnya kasihan, gue yakin di belakangnya emang nggak peduli. Waduh, Bang, thumbnailnya download di Google ya, buru gitu. Download dari apa? Gue belum sempat ngedit sih, memang itu dapat dari Steam. Ah, udah masuk nih gua. Wah, udah masuk. Nice. Wait. Kenapa ini masih Minecraft, kakak? Motifnya yang kita tutup dulu ya kan. Kok nggak mau masuk? Wah. Oh, masuk sih. Waduh. Planet Zoo-nya kenapa jadi? Ntar ya. Wah, nggak mau masuk loh. Gak mau masuk loh. Ada hal. Wait. Masuk belum? Bang, itu game gratis ya, beli. Wah, kemarin main Minecraft nggak bisa, sekarang main ini nggak bisa, capek. Bodoh lah. Kenapa ini Planet Zoo-nya nggak bisa? Ada kan suaranya? Why my game capture black in OBS ya kan? How to fix bla 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 bla.
What's up guys, welcome back to our channel Technology. So today in this video I'm going to show you guys how to fix the OBS in black screen whenever you try to add the game capture. So in this computer, on your computer, and after that you have to right click on this PC if you're Windows 10, and if you also right click on your architecture version. In my case, the system type, which is 64
Oh, gua tahu kenapa.
I'm using 64-bit architecture version. So just
Gua tahu
start
kenapa.
menu and type over there OBS. So you will get.
Oke. Bentar ya, gua stop streaming sebentar karena nggak bisa ini. Sebentar, nggak bisa. Kalau gua nggak stop streaming, gua nggak bisa betulin. 5 detik. No. Papa. Bisa dong. Tuh kan? Hei. Tenaon ya. Nah, oke kita mulai ya kan, create my avatar. Bukan, ini OBS ya nih. Bukan game capture saya. Game capture kan dari OBS. Kok jelek-jelek semua ya? Ini agak putih aja lah ya, biar kelihatan bisnismen ya kan. Ini orang juga nggak bisa diam lagi, kan nggak kelihatan mukanya cu. Yang ini sih hair. Ini aja lah ya, atau yang ini. Pak nggak main Poppy Playtime apa tuh? Gimana apa itu? Jangan ras. Utangin nasi Optimum Pride tulin Optimum Pride. Aduh, apa itu maksudnya? Anjay. Sebenarnya ini gue juga nggak tahu ya karakternya buat apa. Apakah nanti dia bisa ganti atau enggak, gue nggak tahu. Merah-merah semua tuh. Nah ini aja. Ini apa? Oke. Warna pastel, gue lebih suka warna pastel. Nah ini aja. Judul videonya buat saya pingin apa? Poppy Playtime aja nggak tahu lah. Ini kenapa baju belakangnya nggak bisa diganti ya? Ya udahlah, biarin lah. Oke, accept. Hugo Crab bagus anjir, aku kemarin donate. Hugo Crab apaan? Apa ini? Indonesia dong, ya kan? Kita coba karir, entah apa ini. Kita coba aja ya kan. Mana hewannya? Belum ada kan nih? Ini kalau ini copyright gue kesel banget, bodoh amat. Mukanya ini pengen jadi presiden bisa nggak? Kamu, saya kasih sepeda. Bodoh, jangan lama-lama. Oh, gua tahu. Waduh, stuttering.
dibantu. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I have a habit of slipping back into the Blanco language. It's good to
Gak sengaja, sorry.
person. I'm Bernard. Although I insist
Bang, laptop bisa nggak bisa harusnya?
Bernie. The only person who calls me Bernard is my wife. And even then, only when I've tracked elephant dung into the carpets.
Oh, nggak ya, aman ya.
As you know, I own several zoos, but I always like to show people the ropes.
Kalau nggak kecilin aja deh ininya. Master volumenya kegedean nih kayaknya tadi. Terus ini master volume yang kegedean apa suara ini gue ya? Wah anjir, pantesan suaranya kenceng banget, bodoh. Grafik. Bla 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 brightness. Jangan dong, jangan ultra dong, height aja ya kan. Cukup lah ya. Height aja. Oke. Oh, bedanya jauh loh.
Is the first zoo I ever opened and a source of great pride for me. And prides, thanks to a lion breeding program we ran in the 80s. But we're in the middle of a big renovation, and that's where you come in. Sadly, our old contractor had to retire after developing a fur allergy.
Mainnya
Kalo
hebat.
kept sneezing his dentures into the lion habitat. So, it's up to you to finish everything off.
Itu gamenya gratis atau Anda beli? Nah, kalau kamu semalam nonton Genshinnya Bang Eka, kamu tahu saya beli atau ini. Lama nih orangnya ngomongnya anjir. Dah. Oke.
Did you know that grizzly bears, also known as Ursus arctos horribilis, can hibernate for up to 7 months a year? Oh, but then again, given the chance, I think a lot of people would do that too.
Jam berapa, Mang? Jam 3 pagi.
Select one of the bears and you'll bring up its information panel.
Hah? Suruh ngapain tadi gua? Suruh ngapain tadi gua? Sial, gua lagi baca chat ya kan. Suruh ngapain sih gua? Ini mana nggak bisa muter lagi ya kan? Nggak jelas. Pencetannya apa? Wah. Ini apa? Kenapa sih? Ini kenapa sih? Ini kenapa kakak? I suppose to view the grizzly from here is fine. Oh, I suppose to view grizzly bear from here. It's fine. Kejauhan kah gitu maksudnya dia? Hah? Lah, saya bingung kakak. Kayaknya jangan langsung ini deh. Anjir jam 3 dah tuh Pak, pas itu kan aku mau nanya pas Roblox itu private server apa enggak, sepi amat. Oh, emang sepi itu game-nya. Nah terus gue suruh ngapain gitu loh. Oh alah, dia marah karena di sini. Oke, kita edit barrier. Emang jangan lihat dari situ, Bu. Oh shit. Holy shit. Bingung Pak, bingung saya. Edit barrier. Tambahin. Hah? maksudnya kakak, bodoh lah. Kayaknya jangan Pak, lihat Teguh Sugianto yang Planet Zoo. Kenapa tuh dia? Ntar dulu deh. Oh, kayaknya jalannya kali ya. Jalannya kali. Nggak tahu sih gua. Ini ngilangin ini juga gimana nih anjir. Nggak ada tutorial kakak, bodoh amat. Ntar ya. Gue pikir kita bisa bikin zoo sendiri gitu loh. With zoo around the world and treat your animal. Put your zoo offline with full economy and challenges. Harusnya gini kali ya. Asia, ya kan. Nama zoo-nya maksudnya apa ya? Heavenly Zoo. Bentar ya, gua dipanggil nyokap tadi. Pengen tahu gua kenapa. Iya. Nah, ini gua tuh pengen muterin apa kamera gua, tapi bisa nggak sih sebenarnya? Ini kan ini kan kayak miring gitu loh. Gimana ya cara muterinnya ya? Guest number. Terus gue jadi nggak bisa. Nah, gimana ya cara muterin ya? Bisa nggak ya? Setting, kontrol, mouse control. Oh nah, pertanyaannya, kalau gini kan dari tadi gua harusnya challengesnya bisa dong. Kita ulang aja ya. Kita main menu, kita ulangin yang tadi. Kita ulangin yang tadi biar lebih mudah. Harusnya sih harusnya tuh karir tuh kan ini first step. Harusnya lebih mudah gitu loh. Oh, itu yang main bukan gua. Yang main bukan gua, Badui. Yang main adek gua itu. Adek gua main pengen nyobain Valorant katanya. Cukup tahu, bodoh amat. Sudah saya jelaskan, tahu tidak?
Hematu. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I have a habit of slipping back into the Planko language. It's good to finally meet you in person. I'm Bernard, although I insist you call me Bernie. The only person who calls me Bernard is my wife. And even then, only when I've tracked elephant dung into the carpets.
Nah, 1 nanodetik apaan maksudnya?
As you know, I own several zoos, but I
Pantes kok
always
nggak
like to
dibales.
show
Iya, adek
people
gua
what's
itu.
here at my home. This is the first zoo I ever opened, and a source of great pride for me. And prides, thanks to a lion breeding program we ran in the 80s. But we're in the middle of a big renovation, and that's where you come in. Sadly, our old contractor had to retire after developing a fur allergy. Poor devil kept sneezing his dentures into the lion habitat. So, it's up to you to finish everything.
Oh
off.
astaga, kita dipanggil katanya.
I'm not
Soalnya kontraktornya alergi bulu ya kan. Waktu dia di habitatnya singa dia terus-terusan bersin. Kocak kan. 1 nanodetik tuh di bawah 1 mikrodetik harusnya. Emang ada 1 nanodetik ya?
Hello there. From that rosy, fresh face of yours, I'm guessing you're Bernie's new hire. Good. Now, I hope you're ready to ditch your diploma because we're about to get really...
Coba kita lihat kontrolnya dulu ya. Mouse control ya, bla bla bla. Kamera tilt, kamera zoom. Object placement control. Cancel. Rotate itu pakai Z. Oke.
hands on. But before we begin the real work, how about we familiarize you with the zoo by learning how to fly around it?
Iya, tapi Robloxnya nggak bisa, nggak tahu kenapa, Mbak Dwi.
We'll start by popping over and having a look-see at the grizzly bears in their habitat.
Nah, dari tadi gue mau rotate.
Did you know that grizzly bears, also known as Ursus arctos horribilis, can hibernate for up to 7 months a year? Oh, but then again, given the chance, I think a lot of people would do that too. Select one of the bears and you'll bring up its information panel. This is where you can find out all kinds of information about your animal. The most important thing being its overall welfare. You'll learn more about animal welfare today as we go through your objectives. But for now, let's enjoy this magnificent animal. Why don't you select the camera at the bottom of its information panel?
Kamera. Oh, ini.
See now, this is a fantastic way to get a close look at your animals. You can also get this view of an animal by simply double-clicking on it. Okay, when you're ready, let's pop over to the other side of the zoo and take a look at the lions. I've marked their location for you to find.
Anda sedang sakit kah? Kelihatan gelisah gitu. Bukan gelisah, gue sariawan. Patah-patah gak sih? Frame drop gak sih itu? Tadi kita locate the West African. Oke. Kita harus nyari si lion ya kan. Singa, di mana kamu singa? Lion Habitat. Ini kah? Bodoh. Bodoh. Controllingnya agak susah ya. Singa bukan nih? Zebra ini anjir. Singa di mana singa? Ini apa? Ah, ini dia singa. Look.
Panthera Leo Leo, or the West African lion to you and me. Lions are the most social of the big cats, and there can be as many as 40 lions in a pride, although prides of that size are pretty rare.
Tikusnya langsung lari, bukan gue yang takut.
Say, those lions are awesome.
Cabai kan udah 2, pas bagian biji cabai.
These days. Anyway, how about we get started on those objectives? Come on, let's head over to an empty habitat and see what needs doing there.
Sekarang kita nyari empty habitat ya kan. Oh itu dia. Bentar-bentar. Ada paket. Paket kan.
As you can see, it's a lovely space for animals, but it's missing a certain something. Well, 2 somethings. Warthogs. So I'd like you to adopt a pair of them. To adopt animals, we need to open the animal market, which is in the animal trading section.
Animal trading, oh di sini. Oke, ya.
There we are, a pair of perfectly splendid warthogs for our zoo. Just click on them and select Adopt from the side menu. Normally the animal exchange would be full of animals, but I've emptied out the market while you learn how it works. The last thing I need is you accidentally ordering a dozen elephants.
Duit gue berapa sih? Oh, 188. Waiting in trade center. Send to zoo. Trot. Ini boleh nggak gue beli yang ini? Oh enggak nih. Satu lagi apa? Animal market. Gila, datangnya 3 jam anjir.
When you adopt an animal, it's automatically placed in the trade center where they're held until you're ready to move them into their habitat, which, as it happens, you are. So how about you move them into their new home?
Mana tapi?
When you ask for an animal to be moved into a habitat, your caretakers will go to the trade center, collect your animal, and deliver them to your selected habitat. I've marked the trade center's location, so let's go and watch the caretakers in action.
Oke. Cara lihatnya?
Well, as you can see, those caretakers don't hang about. They'll move those
Oh bang,
animals
ngaku
to their
aja kalau itu
destination
paket
as fast as possible.
ML, paket buat
Of
main
course,
ML.
normally
Bukan.
you'd have to place the animals into quarantine before
Bukan,
moving
bukan.
to a habitat. But I am assured by a person of good standing that these warthogs are in the very
Mahal
best
harganya,
of health.
masih belum kebeli.
Right, let's get the warthog's habitat finished up so we can keep them nice and happy. You see, each animal in the zoo has an overall welfare statistic, basically how happy they are. And that overall welfare statistic is itself comprised of 4 different areas: nutrition, social health, habitat, and enrichment. Luckily, if you select an animal, you'll bring up their animal welfare information panel, which we saw earlier, where you can see how they're doing. That way, you'll know exactly what areas need to be addressed. Don't worry if that's a lot to remember. You can always check the Zoopedia for more information.
Ya nggak suka deh.
Let's start by making sure we're taking care of the warthog's nutrition welfare. To do this, we'll need to place a food station and a drinking station. Now, Each animal requires a different type of feeding station. And for the warthogs, it's a small feeding trough. So let's add one of those and a water bowl.
Gimana belinya? Terus gue taruh mana anjir? Hah? Oh ke sono. Ngomong dong. Coweg. Tiba-tiba dia di sini dong. Nge-freeze.
Animals also require stimulation to keep them happy. Let's add a lovely mud bath for the warthogs to roll around in. That bath will count towards their enrichment welfare, specifically their toy enrichment welfare.
Taruh mana ya? Taruh sini aja kali ya, dekat orang-orang ya kan. Trat.
Oh,
Nice.
nice work. You've got a knack for this, I see.
Terus ini nge-cancel giniannya
Our
mah.
contractor had to leave in a hurry, so this place is in a feral state. Unfinished thingamajigs and whatsits all over the shop. But the first thing we need to finish is the Ostrich Habitat. It's over near the hippos.
Ini ngilangin ini gimana anjir? Oh, skip. Astaga, bodoh. Ini gue mau mindahin ini bisa nggak? Oh, M. Gak bisa kok. Gak bisa anjir. Terus kita suruh kemana lagi tadi Kak? Tadi kita suruh kemana nih? Locate the highlighted area. Lokat nggak tuh? Loket. Antrilah di loket. Biar beli loket. Udah nih gue udah nyampe sini nih mas.
Before we actually start building our ostrich habitat, let's pause the game. Just click the pause button in the bottom right corner.
Kono Giorno Giovanna. Gani mau berjojo nggak di Roblox? Jojo apa sih? Pause time. Gue suruh pause.
That's more like it. A quick break. Sometimes it's a good idea to pause the game whilst you're doing something which requires your concentration, because it'll stop the zoo spinning out of control while you're looking the other way. Let's keep the game paused while we get this ostrich habitat built. Okay, job number 1 here is to add a habitat gate before we complete the barrier. Every habitat needs a habitat gate. After all, how else would the keepers get in and out? Just make sure it's hooked up to the path so the keepers can reach it.
Oh, wait bentar ya. Gak ada orangnya, pergi. Gak asik katanya. Sorry ya. Kita gas lagi ya. Tadi sampai mana sih tadi? Kita disuruh betulin ini. Tapi kok gua nggak bisa nambah gitu loh. Hah? Gimana sih? Outside placement area. Gimana sih? Hah? Astaga, suruh bikin gate.
Right. Let's complete the perimeter barrier so we can adopt us some.
Sorry Gani.
I've marked out an area for you to use.
Ditinggal
So I'd
lihat
like
yang
you to
lain.
finish off the perimeter using the brick barrier.
Sorry ya. Lama banget ya tadi ya. Aja. Kita bikin ini kan. Dia biar kecil gitu gimana caranya anjir? Biar belok doang gitu loh nih. Oh gitu. Ini mah tinggi itu. Lah itu dia bisa bikin belok gimana caranya anjir? Jelek dong anjir.
Good work. Remember, before you can place animals in any habitat, it has to have a full loop of connected barrier. Now, you've probably noticed that guests can't actually see into this habitat at the moment. At least not without a stepladder. But seeing as they're banned, I'd like you to select a piece of barrier and swap out the brick for a glass barrier, so the guests can see in.
Hah? Suruh ngapain tadi gua? Oh, glass. Sini aja deh. Hah? Gak bisa kah? Kok outside placement area? What the heck? Di sini kah? Delete gimana delete? Aduh, gak bisa di delete anjir.
There we go. Adding in more windows gives guests even more opportunities to see the animals in a habitat. It's always best to make sure the guests can get a good view into a habitat from the path they're walking on, because it makes them happy.
Kamu nyampe stual stand gak
And
nih?
because this would be a pretty terrible zoo.
Gue barusan liat pro player COD yang tadinya agama hidup pindah agama Islam gagal temen-temen. Masa begitu anjir? Yang nyampe keluar. Keluar stand tuh apa maksudnya?
Donation boxes are one of the main sources of income for the zoo, so make sure you remember them.
Donation box. Saweria ya kan?
Now, adopt our ostriches, you should click the play button. After all, if the game's paused, then so are our caretakers, which will make it a bit tricky for them to deliver the ostriches, eh?
Wah, masih nggak ada orangnya, udah gila.
By the way, as well as pausing the game, you can speed the game up by clicking on the fast forward button. It'll run everything at 2 times and 5 times faster.
Kita suruh beli apa tadi ya?
It can be useful, especially if you're waiting for money to accumulate or for animals to be delivered to your
Oh ini
habitat.
dong, gila 11 tahun umurnya.
When I'm waiting for a brew to finish.
Kematiannya akan jauh lebih
You've
lambat
finished
ya
the
kan?
habitat, so it's high time we adopted those ostriches, don't you think? Let's get 4 of them in here.
Ah, beli semua aja deh. Ya kan? Send to zoo. Terus mana lagi tadi punya gua? Internet center semua nih. Ribet ya.
While we wait for them to be collected by the caretakers and brought to the habitat, you should get it ready for them. Add a suitable feeding station, water station, and an appropriate food
Dan
enrichment
pikiran gua kok keren
item.
amat.
It's often best to place things like enrichments and feeding stations near to the habitat perimeter, so guests can get a really good view of the animals.
Oh, anjir. Lu tadi lihat gak ini? Bisa begitu deh. At feeding station. Gue lupa lagi tadi. Di habitat nggak sih apa facilities ya? Oh habitat. Terus slow feedernya di sini sama water truck. Water truck smallnya di sini. Nggak bisa. Oke.
Oh, good to see the ostriches have somewhere they can
Ini lagi nih.
really stretch their legs.
Duar.
Did you know they can
Doraemon fix.
at 43 miles per hour? Oh, heaven forbid they ever escape. The speed camera finds alone would bankrupt us.
Kalau kan kita udah bisa nih. Bisa nggak kita kalau bikin ini sendiri?
Well, Bernie certainly seems impressed. Did you do his speed camera joke? Every time we get an ostrich. So, now we've made the ostriches' lives a bit better.
Kita bikin baru lagi
For the
udah bisa
keepers,
belum ya?
shall we? To make it easier for the keepers to
Coba
feed
kali ya.
the ostriches and hippos, we
Kita-
should build a new keeper hut.
Nge-save bisa nggak nge-save? Save zoo ya kan? New zoo save. Tutorial. Bang tahu Ino Naruto nggak tahu? Tahu dong. Siapa dulu zaman gua yang nggak nonton Naruto? Nah kita bikin baru ya kan? Kita mau bikin baru kakak adik semuanya. Ini orang-orang pasti tadi sebenarnya udah ada gitu loh orang yang kesini udah ke live ini, cuma sorry banget nih ya kan. Nah kita coba yang tadi. Lah, franchise tadi ya? Apa challenge? Build your sandbox franchise, build zoos all around the world and trade your animals. Ini deh. Tropical ya kan. Tadi namanya apa? Heavenly ya kan. Heavenly Zoo. Kalau enggak Bonbin aja lah. Bonbin niche ya kan. Ini kecilnya jelek, kalau sudah gede menggokil. Bensin kamu mau mainin kapan bang? Bensin tuh apa? Gas simulator. Belum download gua gas simulator. Oh Genshin maksudnya ya? Genshin nggak tahu deh. Kapan ya kan? Ini pintu masuk atau pintu keluar gitu aja deh. Yang mana yang pintu masuk, yang mana yang pintu keluar. Oh, oke. Ini nggak ada jalan raya. Coba dipikir, ya kan? Nggak ada jalan raya. Terus orang kesini ngapain anjir? Construction. Jalan dulu kali ya. Duit gue berapa sih? 40.000 anjir. Oh, banyak banget pilihannya cuy. Kakak. Construction. Apa ini? Apa itu anjir? Barrier. Habitat. Nggak usah lah. Bingung gua. Gua masih bingung. Bang, lu tahu Iko nggak? Kalau nggak tahu nih, dia direbutin e-sport akhirnya di EVOS. Iko siapa? Iko wise bener. Tadi kita suruh ngapa?
Well, Bernie certainly seems impressed. Did he do his speed camera joke? Every time we get an ostrich. So, now we've made the ostriches' lives a bit better, let's do the same.
Grafiknya jangan inilah. Gua ngeliatnya kok di OBS di lu-nya pada kok patah-patah gitu. Kenapa?
For the keepers, shall we? To make it easier for the keepers to feed the ostriches and hippos, we should build a new keeper hut. Keeper huts are where the keepers prepare the food for animals, so they should be placed near to the habitats to make sure the keepers don't waste their time walking when they should be looking after the animals.
Oh, tuh dia ke situ. Kita suruh bikin keeper hut ya kan? Nih.
You'll need to rotate the keeper hut to get it to connect up to the path.
Coba beda $5 sih. To be honest. Gitu kah? Oh, ini deh yang benar. Cerot.
This
Oh,
keeper
ini apa
hut
nih?
only has space for one keeper, but the larger keeper hut can allow multiple keepers to prepare food at the
Anjay.
same time. Oh, but bear in mind that keeper huts and other staff facilities shouldn't be placed near to areas where there are lots of guests.
Lah, Iko Wise bukan atlet anjir.
Like seeing facility buildings, and it can affect their happiness negatively. In case that wasn't clear. Something that all facilities, shops, and a whole host of other objects need is power, and that obviously includes your newly built keeper hut. So let's place a transformer next to it, shall we?
Place transformer.
Now, the reason everything has gone blue is because you're using the power heat map. This map allows you to see what is and what isn't powered in your zoo. So, once you've placed your transformer, you can click in the bottom left to turn the heat map off.
Cerot.
Lovely work. Now the keepers can start using the hut to prepare food, and thanks to where you've put it, they won't need to walk very far to deliver it to the
Badan aku mau ke
ostriches and
e-sport,
hippos.
gak mau Onyx, RNQ,
Let's
AS.
get on to your next objective then.
Gua udah bilang kemarin,
Bengal tigers.
jangan mau
You
jadi
want to
e-sport.
adopt them, but I'm afraid there's nothing ready
Yang paling
for
bagus
them.
tuh bukan e-sport,
Head
yang paling
on
bagus
to
tuh
the
jadi
bottom
Raffi
right of
Ahmad,
the
tau nggak?
habitat. It's not too far away.
Loket the highlighted area. Oh, itu dia. Kita mau bikin
Righty, your next job is to build a habitat. from scratch. And concrete and glass, I expect. So go ahead and build it. Just make sure that the habitat includes that big hole we've dug. Oh, and don't forget to add a habitat gate to the barrier. Oh, and make sure the guests will be able to see the tigers.
Habitat gate-nya di sini. Oh, kebalik ya. Kebalik anjir. Ini ngecilinnya gimana pula? Cuk. Gimana ya ngecilinnya ya? Tahu deh, bingung gua. Bodo amat. Emang apa aku maunya jadi e-sport? Sorry habis dari warung. Nggak apa-apa, santuy. Tenang aja. Ini jadi Raffi Ahmad cuy. Dia bisa manggil e-sport buat anaknya. Tahu nggak coba buat apa? Cuma biar anaknya bisa dapat rank mitik anjing. Gak ada duit kah gua? Hah? Kok nggak bisa? Kok nggak bisa? What the heck? What the heck?
Now, Bernie takes safety very seriously at his zoos, so we should probably make sure those tigers can't jump out of their habitat, don't you think? The way we'll do it is by changing the height of the habitat's barrier. Okay then, you should start by double-clicking the habitat barrier, which will take you into barrier editing mode.
Huh?
Great. Now highlight the entire perimeter of the habitat. You can do that by clicking and dragging the barrier selection tool.
Wah, capek ya, bingung gua. Kok dia bisa bikin gini ya? Aneh. Dia kok bisa bikin muter gitu ya? Halus gitu loh. Tuh. Halus deh. Sedangkan gua nggak bisa anjir. Walah, astaga, ini ada cu. Goblos. Merusaknya gimana ya? Merusaknya gimana? Aduh. Ctrl Z. Oh, masih bisa Ctrl Z. Oke. Nah, itu tadi dong mas. Dock di widget. Hah? Gak mau curve. Saya bingung. Bang Sandy moderator nggak moderator di sini. Bang coba makan permen super aku biasa aja, lama-lama manis. Super enak kok. To select the habitat, drag the widget ini kah? Ini kah maksudnya? Oh semua ya? Tahu deh, pusing gua.
Now you've got all of the perimeter selected, you can increase the height of it by clicking and dragging the barrier height tool upwards. You'll want to make sure it reaches a height of at least 3.7 meters.
3.7. Oke.
Now that the habitat is in place, don't forget to put
Bang,
the donation box near to your viewing area.
Sama, gue juga masih bingung, Gani. Tapi nanti kalau udah ngerti, kayaknya jadi gampang banget harusnya.
Instant noodles for lunch.
Tadi suruh ngapain kita? Bikin apa tadi? Aduh, nggak lihat lagi gue. Place a donation box, oke. Tapi di mana, cu? Di sini kah?
Okay, that's the habitat boundary complete, the habitat gate in place, and most importantly, the tigers won't be able to jump out of it anymore. I think it's time we adopted those tigers.
Gak mau escape. Agak ribet ya.
Nah,
kita lihat ya kan.
Let's take a look at preparing the habitat for their arrival. We'll start with the basics. Add a suitable feeding station for them.
Feeding station. Mana ya feeding station?
This time, instead of adding a water bowl, let's try something different. Some animals need a pool in their habitat so they can go for a swim, but they can also use it to drink from. All you have to do is make sure the banks of the pool have a gentle
ini
slope
dia nih.
so they can easily get in.
Gue mau liat boxnya. Cer. Duing. Gila. Doraemon fix.
You should do that by going into terrain and selecting the water tool.
Place your mouse on the side of the hole when wait for the line to turn blue to place the water. Water cannot be placed over animals. Gimana cara nambahin air anjir? Hah? Gimana cara nambahin air, cu? Hah? Itu FMU Giorno kah? Place your mouse on the side of the hole and wait for the line to turn to blue to place the water. Water cannot be placed. Masalahnya piye? Hah? Mana air anjir? Astaga. Di sini ternyata. Roof water tuh apa? Ada yang ngalir kah?
Yes, that'll do nicely. Of course, just like the warthogs and ostriches, these tigers will also need some enrichment. Why don't you add some suitable toy and food enrichment items into their habitat?
Gamenya kayak game PS2, kasih tahu bisa bikin kandang jalan. Iya betul.
Okay, it's really starting to take shape. Now, the tigers will need a shelter in their habitat so they can hide from the guests, or more likely the bad weather. Although given that we're in England, you might want to think
Halo
of that
PakPres, halo
just as
Fitri.
normal weather. Go on, add a shelter to their habitat. You can either build one from various suitable bits and bobs, or if you like, just pop down the blueprint that I've already built for you.
Anjay. Sinilah ya. Mantap. Terus sama shelter. Lah ini kan tadi udah. Lah ini kan tadi udah. Suruh bikin berapa sih? Nggak jelas. Lagi kah? Suruh bikin lagi kah? Ya udah deh, bikin lagi dah. Bingung gua kadang-kadang sama game ini. Ding 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 ding. Lagi kah?
Dabs, I'm sure it can't have escaped your attention that the tigers look a bit miffed. That's because they aren't too keen on the type of terrain in their habitat. Select a tiger and bring up its information panel.
Dulu Mbak, ini mana informasinya?
Rightio, click on the terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain information and see how they feel
Halo
about the different
Vincenzo.
types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers
Bisa
need
bikin
more
tempat
of
musim
or
depan.
less of in this habitat.
Bisa, ini sama juga bisa kok. Kita suruh bikin increase terrain welfare. Hah? Gimana sih? Plan. Kita disuruh bikin plan, anjir.
Rightio, click on the terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain information and see how they feel about the different types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers need more of or less of in this habitat.
Hah? Gimana sih? Oh gitu. Ngobrol dong. Terus plan, gue kurang plan. Plannya di mana tapi anjir? Gak bisa. Hah? Ngebug kah?
Rightio. Click on the terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain.
Pamit dulu bang, mau mandi.
conditions and
Oke
see how they
Gani,
feel
thank
about
you
the
ya udah
different
kesini ya.
types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers need more of or less of in this habitat.
Hah? Gue sudah pencet ini kan. Terus ini kan yang kurang plan type and coverage severely inappropriate for this animal. Ini kah? Dipencet kah ini? Dipencet kah? Gimana sih? Dia minta apa sih?
Okay then. Open
Astaga,
the
suruh
editing tool, select painting, and give them some more soil. Yes, that should help with the habitat part of their welfare.
Ngobrol dong. Oke.
Right then. All animals need plants and trees from their own biome or continent. You know, deserts, savannas, or Asia, Europe, that sort of thing. It looks like these tigers need a few more plants in their habitat. To get a perfect fit, use plants from the rainforest and temperate biomes that are native to Asia. Although if you have to, you can get away with using just one or the other. The tigers will also want a certain amount of their habitat to be covered by those plants. To find out which plants to use and how many, select a tiger and go to the Environment tab.
Select apa tadi? Ini kan? Apa select ini? Nah, akhirnya ada plan anjir. Yang paling mahal dong. Oh ini. Cerot.
Now, as you can see, some of the plants currently in the habitat aren't quite right for the tiger, like
Oh salah gua.
bushes. You can remove them if you want. You can find all of the plants you need in the nature section, and you can use the filters to only show the types of plants you want to see. In this case, that's plants from the rainforest or temperate biomes.
Mana? Sudah apa? Kontinennya Asia. Oke. Terus? Ini gua mau remove bisa nggak? Oh bisa. Terus tadi kita disuruh apa sih? Akasia tadi ya namanya. Mana anjir nggak ada cuk. Tadi aloe veranya belum. Oke, aloe vera. Dia minta aloe vera. Bang, please jadikan aku moderator, please. Kenapa? Di sana dicabut kah? Enggak kan? Sudah berapa sih nih? Oh ini tuh salah malah. Goblok. Itu salah cu. Anjir, ngilangin ginian minus 10 loh. Buang-buang duit gua. Terus oke. Mana tadi itu dia maunya? Lah. Harimau gila yang satu. Hah? Lanjir, harimau gua hilang satu. Oh, itu dia. Sianya ngumpet di sini dia. Bangun dia kan. Terus dia minta apa? Botol bosnya masih lihat. Terus lu minta apa lagi? Akasia tree-nya ini ya. Akasia tree yang mana? Oh, ini bener. Cet. Trot. Udah kan? Sekarang dia minta apa lagi? Bracken. Dia minta apa?
Now, as you can see,
Pascal, kamu live aja terus kamu pakai 2 akun terus foto aja deh.
aren't quite right for the tiger, like the wattle bushes. You can remove them if you want. You can find all of the plants you need in the nature section, and you can use the filters to only show the types of plants you want to see. In this case, that's plants from the rainforest or temperate biomes.
Gitu ya. Terus dari tadi kalau ada kayak gini.
They say the good fences make good neighbors. I guess that's doubly true when one of the neighbors is a Bengal tiger.
Kamu cuek ya.
Still, those tigers look so happy that I doubt they
Kenapa mau minta mod?
even if you did poke a hole in their fence. Oh, but for heaven's sake, don't test that theory.
Right, let's head over to the Indian peafowls. I've been told that we need to improve their social welfare.
Gak bisa di move loh. Bisa di demolish anjir. Sedih gua. Kayak hutan jadinya. Gue mau ganti. Ya nggak bisa jadi kaca. Kambing.
Just find one of the peafowls and select them to open their information panel. Then we can have a good gander at how they're doing.
Ah, Pak, jangan pakai pohon itu, Bang. Ntar dipukulin. Salam dari Binjai. Game kayak gini kalau pusing terus dan kayak ngerasa keringat deras, rasanya kayak pengen muntah gitu. Gue pas main game PS kaset ya, Dain. Mau bantu Anda. Aduh, tadi gua nggak denger lagi dia ngomong apa. Ada place New Indian People. Di mana ya? Facilities kah? Construction kah? Hah? Blueprint? Path? Ini? Q? Oh, bukan. Ulang.
Expand their social welfare and we can get a bit more detail.
Expand social welfare. Hah? Ini kah? Bukan, jir, apa ya? Social welfare di mana nih? Social welfare. Exhibit trading. Nope. Lah, terus di mana? Ini kah? Social welfare. Nope. Sampai ente ngomong apa?
Expand their social welfare and we can get a bit more detail.
Adopt and place. Gak ada di animal trading, anjir. Ini kan.
Now, they've clearly got plenty of space and they're not stressed, but it looks like their social group isn't quite right.
Kadang-kadang gue kayak anjir gitu doang ya ternyata ya.
Click on the social tab at the top of their information panel to see what's wrong.
To view adults and juvenile in animal social group. Terus open the social tab.
Right. As you can see, the peafowls need their population to be larger. To solve this little problem, you'll need to adopt 3 more female peafowls. Off you pop to the animal market then.
Nope, nggak ada. Oh, ini dia. Lagi. Satu lagi.
Good work on those peafowls. I expect.
Bye bang, oke bang, itu DC lu kok nggak ada buat tempat ngobrol-ngobrol dan lain gitu. Itu rusak apa gue aja yang kayak gitu? Kalau kalian gimana guys? Ada, itu harus ngambil roll dulu yang di atas. Ngambil roll dulu, Nyankoo. Gue ada kok ngobrol-ngobrol. Locate. Gue udah mulai ngerti sih. Cuma emang ada beberapa yang kok pusing.
Just like people, animals can suffer from stress if things aren't quite right. You know, like when you see someone put in the milk before the tea bag. In the case of these snow leopards, they're a bit stressed by their lack of privacy. You can lower their stress levels by swapping out the normal glass barrier by their cave for one-way glass. It's not a cheap option, but I think they're worth the expense, don't you? This will give the snow leopards somewhere to go when they want to get away from the prying eyes of the guests. Of course, when an animal isn't in its natural biome, it's probably going to be too hot or too cold. Unsurprisingly for the snow leopards, it's too hot. Even with the terrible British weather, you should help cool it down by adding some coolers to their habitat.
Halo Nulu
But
Sidik.
let's start by opening up the temperature heat map and having a look-see at the temperature in the leopard's habitat.
The temperature view mode. Apa ini? Walah gitu.
As you can see, we already have one cooler in there. Let's pop some more down and get as much of the habitat as chilly as we can. Luckily for us, this habitat already has power, but you'll need to make sure of that in the future. Just so you know, if any part of a habitat is powered, then the whole
Ada gua malah
habitat
kepencet
will be
ngelepas.
powered.
Chat gua di atas, males gua jawab pertanyaan lu. Oh.
You can find heat maps for all sorts of helpful things, so do be sure to explore them and make good use of them. It'll take a little while for the temperature to adjust once you've added coolers or heaters, but now we've got the coolers in, we can address the leopard's terrain welfare. You see, what the leopards really want in here is snow and rock, so let's make that happen. Now then, all of that should give you a pretty good understanding of how to make animals happy. So I'd like you to go and check on all the other animals in the zoo and fix up any issues with their habitats. That'll increase the average welfare of the animals across the whole zoo. And that average welfare is a very
Ini sih
important
gamenya
statistic.
cukup bikin pusing ya, karena banyak banget ternyata yang harus dipelajari gitu. Anjir, banyak banget pilihannya, banyak banget manajemennya.
As you can see, this list shows you the animal's overall welfare. So if something's amiss, then you can quickly pop over to them using the locate button. Right, I'm off for a cuppa while you make sure all the animals are well looked after.
Itu nyari apa sih? Mungkin darurat soal habitat. Oh. Itu sama. I suppose the view common hosting from here is fine. The view you cannot see the common. Can you? Okay. Kita betul-betulin dulu ya kan. Kaca mana nih kaca? Konkret. Pusing gua. Ntar deh ya. Sama di oke. Nice. Kita coba lihat sekarang. Kita tadi bisa lihat gitu-gitu di mana ya? Grass shortnya kurang. Habitat apa nature ya? Nope, habitat kayaknya. Terus food and water atau apa kakak, lupa saya. Blueprint kah? Oh, bukan. Construction facilities. Gue lupa di mana. Terrain. Oh, terrain anjir. Grass shortnya kurang katanya. Boleh kita tambahin ya kan. Nice. Oke. Kita bisa lihat-lihat apa keadaan. Kita bisa lihat informasi itu dari mana tadi? Zoo gak sih? Exhibit. Zebra nih rusak. I suppose the view the plane from here is fine. Oh alah, bisa lihat dari situ. Coba kita lihat lagi. Yang Habitat 20. I suppose the masih. Terus gua harus ngasih lu cara ngeliatnya gimana anjir. Udah aja nih temen-temen ya. Makasih banget nih. Gua kayaknya harus banyak ini. Banyak baca-baca nih kalau mau biar ini bagus gimana. Gua nggak ngerti. Kan? Oh, ini bisa di-move. Thank you ya semuanya ya. Gua pamit ya. Duh. Bang Adit masih live gak ya? Oh, masih dia. Masih enggak ding. Thank you banget buat teman-teman yang udah nonton, yang udah komen juga, yang udah ngeramein chat. Sorry banget tadi gua harus cabut dulu sebentar. Bagi obeng. Ya nggak dulu, tapi pas kau nanti aja, ya kan? Kapan-kapan. PakPres kemarin malam udah sampai level berapa? Gua sampai level 15. Jet. Thank you ya udah meramaikan malam ini, sore ini. Jadi banget. Gua pamit undur diri. Bye. Have a nice night, kawan-kawan. Bye bye.